It is always a joy when Taleen Babayan returns to our studio, and with her she has brought two very vibrant and bubbly cast members from her show, Pesad Ure. This is part 2. Is that correct?
That's correct,
Is that the right title, Pesad Ure Part 2?
Yes, it's Where Is Your Groom, Pesad Ure Part 2, or the sequel. We're also calling it Pesad Jose, so that is also another way you could refer to it.
Joining you is Navid. I'm going to go by first names Navid and Rosine, and we're going to get to them in just a minute. But Taleen, we're going to start with you. I'm going to just turn down this music. Tell us why you wrote Part 2. Part 1 was met with a lot of accolades and a really good reception, and it was a hit. People were laughing in the seats. I was there for one of the performances, and you went on a tour, and you went to several cities. Mm-hmm. So obviously there was success. What was the reason for Part 2 besides obviously the success of the first one?
Sure. As you said, we were very grateful to have received such positive feedback, not only from the audience but also from the cast. It was just a wonderful experience. We were 20 Armenian Americans working together and bringing to the stage a contemporary story that a lot of us, in our homes and among friends, that we discuss. And it was very important to us to convey that story to a wider audience. And we were so happy when we received all the laughs and we received all the positive feedback. And as you said, we did go on to different Armenian cities around the country. We're in Philadelphia, Boston, Washington, LA, New Jersey, and in New York a couple of times. So after all of that died down, last year, there were some cast members and also some people who had been in the audience who kept asking, when is Part 2? When is Part 2? And I honestly hadn't thought about staging another production. But in the back of my mind, I did think about the characters. As a writer, you wonder what happened to them, because the first one ends with a proposal. The main character, Lara, she decides to become involved with another Armenian. And it ends with them, getting together, and I would think about them. What happened? Did they get married? Did not get married? Was it an easy transition for the parents to plan the wedding? So then I started thinking about the characters more, and I started putting pen to paper, and I came up with a story. And then we started thinking about the cast who wanted to come back, who was interested in joining. And we have had an equally wonderful cast. Rosin and Navid are here. They originated their characters, which I'm looking forward to them to talking about. And it's been a wonderful experience so far, and we're really excited to perform in 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's funny that kind of the way that you broke it down. I'm sure this is how Hollywood sequels come about. The movie ends, and then the director or the writer starts thinking about it, and you start wanting to develop more into it. I'm going to ask Navid and Rosin to come over, and this is Navid and Rosin's first performance. You were not in the previous one, is that correct?
We're both new to the cast.
Both new to the cast,
yes.
Right? Okay, so I'm going to ask you, why did you want to join this production first? And then we'll talk about your characters next. Navid, I'll start with you.
Absolutely. Hi, Didan, by the way. Always a pleasure to be at the Armenian Radio Hour in New Jersey. It's always a lot of fun.
Yes.
I recommend it. I highly recommend it. But I was in the audience for Pesad Ure, the first one. And I was in awe of this group of young American Armenians really talking about their experience, their life. And I said, wow, after a couple of decades, these situations still aren't resolved in our community. Afterwards, I had to go backstage. I felt compelled to go backstage and meet and shake the hand of Taleen Babayan. I've seen Taleen. I'm sorry I'm embarrassing you, Taleen, but I have followed her work as a journalist. I had never seen anything that she had written as far as in full production. The courage that it took for a young Armenian woman to put this on paper, to take the risk of engaging 20 young Armenians, to make that commitment in their very busy schedules. They're either in school or working, or they all have responsibilities, to bring them together, to make the commitment of rehearsing. It truly is an ensemble endeavor, and I had to meet her. So when there was going to be a sequel, I messaged and I said, is there a role for a silver-haired 50-year-old? I want to be a part of this.
Right.
And there you go. So I'm part of it, and I have no regrets. Absolutely love it, and I look forward to performing.
Awesome. Rosin, so I know Navid. I've known Navid for several years. I know Navid has a performance background, so getting on the stage is not much of a challenge for her. Do you have a performance background? And if not, why did you join, and how has it been so far?
I do have a performance background. I was a part of Akhtamar Dance Ensemble for over 15 years.
Okay, awesome.
And being in the Armenian community is extremely important to me. It's a sense of culture, and I get the chills, when I'm there speaking Armenian, conversing in Armenian. I love it. So when I was invited to partake in this play, I said, no way! I'm used to dancing on stage, knowing my spots, knowing the steps. And she's like, come to the rehearsal. Just see one rehearsal. If you like it, sure. If not, no pressure. So the following day, I went to my first rehearsal, and one of the members were out. So she said, Rosine, do you mind reading lines? I said, no, not a problem. Read some lines. I left. I'm contemplating in the back of the room, okay, am I going to join and be a part of this, or am I going to pass? And before I even walked out of that room, I knew that I needed to be a part of this because I already got those goosebumps of being immersed in the language that I had missed since I'd like to say I retired from the Barahum a couple of years ago.
Right.
So it's nice to be involved in something, especially in the Armenian community once again.
It is. I'm going to ask Taleen to step back in here. Taleen, we can talk about the show and some of the content. So I want to ask about characters now. Rosine said she's the mother-in-law. What is Never's role?
Okay, so whoever is not familiar with the first one, it was a comedy focused on an Armenian family's efforts to preserve the Armenian culture in the house, and of course that started with finding their children Armenian partners. And different suitors came in and out, and it showcased how widespread we are as Armenians. We have Beirutsis, Bolsahais, Hayastansis, Barskahais, but it also illuminated the fact that we're all rooted in the same culture. So with this one, it was important, yes, that the first one ended with a proposal, but I wanted to show what happened after that. I think to me it's very important. The story doesn't end with a proposal. I just felt as if there was a lot that we could still mine through and bring a lot to life through the vibrant characters. Never is a matchmaker. So if anyone remembers in the first one, the grandma was a matchmaker. So Never her character is Mari. She's a matchmaker, and she goes up against the grandma, who we call Yaya. And she has a really comedic role, and it's very important to the story. And she has a whole range of emotions that she shows throughout the play, which is really beautiful to see. And Rosine is the mother of the groom, so of course she is going to have an equally meaty role and bring a lot of comedy to the stage. So there's that tension between the parents, both sets of parents who want to plan the wedding, and they both really brought just incredible talent and commitment to the performance, and they created these roles themselves. They weren't filling in or stepping into shoes. They brought these characters to life with their talent.
There is Armenian and English in the show?
There is Armenian and English. It's mostly in English, but the Armenian, either you've heard the phrases at home if you don't speak Armenian, or it's in context. Sometimes someone will say something in Armenian, and then when it's responded in English, you understand the gist of it. The lines are also translated in the booklet for anyone who's interested.
Okay, I'm going to ask Rosine to come over. Rosine, գիտեմ որ հայերեն խոսից նվերն ալ
Այո,
So հարցումը հայերենով պիտի հարցնեմ, ինչու համար կարևոր է մեզի համար իբրև երդասարդ կամ իբրև հայ քաուտ, որ ասանք թատրոնը ներկայացվի։
Well, I mean,
Եվ հայերենով կամ անգլերենով գնաց։
well, it's important, որովհետև, as I'm going to say it in English.
Sure.
The younger generations, it's so important because as they're growing up, there's a lack of the arts and the cultures. And by coming out and seeing this and partaking in it, it only elaborates our culture and what we have to share. Just this morning I was speaking with my mom, and we were talking about singers, and she said one of these young girls that we know who's Armenian in the family can sing, and I said that is amazing, for her to get out there and to share. So it's really important for the youth. Sorry, հայերեն ես գնամ խոսել, բայց got nervous.
Քեզի համար գիտեմ որ ցուն երջախումբի մաս կազմած ես եւ your production company. So գիտես հայերեն music հայերեն երգերը ներկայացնող խաղաղին, ասենք բաներ մեզի համար կարևոր է շատ։
Մենք աս երկրի մեջ հայ գրնանք մնալ միայն հայ մշակույթով, մեր հողերը դարբեր են, մեր ջուրերը դարբեր են, օդերը դարբեր են, եւ մի գույթով եւ գրնանք շարունակել մեր հայոց պատմությունը, մեր հայկական կյանքը, եւ մենք բարդավոր ենք, որ պետք է քաչալերենք երիտասարդությունը, մանավանդ արվեստական գործերը, երգչախումբերը, բարախումբերը, թատեախումբները, որ political գազագերբությունեն որը լանք անպայման պետք է քաչալերենք երիտասարդությունը, որովհետև իսկապես ինչպես հայբիրի մնանք, ով ենք, ինչ ենք, միայն քեբաբ ուտելը չէ, քեբաբ համով են անշուշտ, բայց ասի ավելի պետք է գուսամ, որ Թալինը մեզի համար role model գրնալալ, իմ սերունդիս համար և սակայն երիտասարդության համար, որ ինչ արվեստական նվերներ որ ունին, որ անոնք they have the courage որ ներկայացնեն եւ դեր գա մեր որ մենք մաս կազմենք դրամ հավաքենք ինչ օգնություն որ պետք ունին to give them a platform կներեք որ անգլերեն բողեմ ասի քիչմը on the spot but we really need to create the platform and you know we spend so much money on such silly things and we really need to support cultural institutions because without that I mean Rosine said it so beautifully. She said, you know, she said when she retired from Ahtamar dance group, she was missing that in an Armenian environment. We need to create that for ourselves. And Taleen had the courage to create that. And I wanted to be part of it.
Taleen, I'm going to ask, can we drop one or two lines from the show? Can we give us something or no?
Sure.
I want to hear
If you
something.
feel comfortable.
Can you give me a line from the matchmaker?
Oh, let's see.
One line, and then Rosine as the mother-in-law, and then we're going to wrap up. Oh, on the spot.
We don't want to give too much away.
Just think about it.
Okay,
I think we're in a different chapter now, and I think we need to look forward, and we need to look at the bigger picture. We are all Armenian. You know, for all of these, you know, as Darpir Paner Vorhima Minchev Hima Gadesem. I mean, and you know, we have to give something to the next generation. We've been blessed with a lot, and now it's time for us to give something, and this is our mark on it. Like you said, we come from all different backgrounds, and the play, yes, it's a comedy, but there is heart to it, there are emotional anchors to it, and it also celebrates our culture. I mean, there are a lot of references to Armenian literary figures, to Armenian musicians, you know, of course to the food, and to our traditions and our values, and all this is important to convey on stage, and we really are looking forward to presenting this to the community.
Before we close, we have a line. We have a line from
Yes.
David.
For 30 years, I have been counting the money in the Sunday collection plate. And for 30 years, $1, $2. I mean, as ժողովուրդը inflation-ի գաղափար չունին. You know, for coffee, for Starbucks, we spend $5. For hair, $100. But when it comes to the church, $1, $2. Come on, people.
No, that was great. Rosine, what we got before we close?
Okay. This is me talking to my future daughter.
Sure.
Lara Achchigas, Kides, you look a little stressed. You need to start eating an egg a day, especially the yolk. Now that you're getting older, it's good folic acid, you know, for the future babies.
Taleen Babayan, it's always a pleasure to have you here, Navid and Rosine.
Thank you,
We
Dina.
thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Dina.
Katya, everyone was here.
May
We really
26th, May
Yes.
26th, what time?
Sunday, May 26th, 4 p.m. at Miller
4 p.m.
Theater at Columbia University's campus.
And we can get tickets how?
You can either go online.
Երևանում տոն է թող բոլորը գան օդը հրաշալի է ջուրն անմական նա մեր հանգրվան է վեհություն է թա